Hi. Today I thought we'd change pace. Uh, from Italy, we will come back to Italy. We have two more Italian rifles to do that I own, and but today we're going to go over to Britain. These are my favorite guns. They're the Enfields. They were made in Britain in the beginning for the most part, but later on they were made throughout the Commonwealth, like India and Australia was also making these guns for the war, and even the United States at one point. This is the Lee Enfield Mk3 rifle. This was the first rifle I ever got that I had to restore or wanted to restore. I got it at the barrel, instead of 25 inches, it was at 19 or 18 inches. And that's about all it had with the receiver. So I had to replace the barrel. I had to buy all the wood and stuff to go with it. And I think it was well worth it because it's a beautiful, beautiful rifle. So, and it fires well. So this is, like I said, they also called these the SMLE. That was an abbreviation for a short magazine Lee Enfield. And it's not that the magazine was short, it's that the rifle was short because the original rifle was 30 inches in length and the new rifle is 25 inches in length. It has a brass butt plate with a trap door, and I'll show you what's behind the trap door here in a bit. It has swivels underneath, one there and one up here with the bands. It's bolt action, and it's a smooth bolt action. It cocks on closing. Some rifles cock when you open them up. They cock, but you have to really sometimes push a little bit to get that past that spring. That's the firing pin spring. It loads using clips. This is the 303 Brit ammo that it uses. It loads using clips, or you can load them individually. It doesn't matter, which is an advantage over what the Italians have, because the Italians at the time had you needed to have a clip to load your gun, whereas with the British gun you didn't need to. You could just do it one by one round if you want. Which, speaking of one by one round, I want to take one round out. We have this model has this little attachment. It's called the cutoff. And what the cutoff was, the British, they loved to do lobs. That was part of their doctrine, where they would all get out and boom, shoot, and try to lob it into where the enemy was. So um, some of the older models even had sights on the side. If you look online, it'll have lob sights, and they're on the gun themselves, and it helps them aim to where they want it to go. But what this did was it prevented people from shooting more than one round at a time. And to the officers, that was important because it would waste ammunition, because people get carried away during the lobs and shoot a bunch of ammunition. So you have your one round, and it would fit right on there, and you load it, and one round at a time. The sight, I have it up, is a graduated sight, and what you have here is, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little knob that you push in and you move up to determine how far you want to go. And this goes from about 300 yards all the way up to 2,000 yards. And I think that's pretty cool. And it has its own sight protectors that are on there too. You go down here, and it's got the headpiece, which I think is some of the coolest parts of this gun. It has a stacking swivel. This model has a stacking swivel. It has a bayonet lug, and it has this, which is actually for holding on to the bayonet, which I have a bayonet for this gun. It goes on. Now, this is a big ass bayonet. It's a 17-inch bayonet, and it has this little hook here. This hook was supposed to be for if you went up against somebody else's bayonet, you could hook their bayonet and break it. And that didn't last very long. They end up every time a gun would go into the arsenal or whatever that they would the gunsmiths would cut that, or the armorers would cut those off because they really weren't any use at all. But the problem with the bayonets was that they during the arms war with the British and the Germans, they were always trying to outdo each other, and at one point they were trying to outdo each other to see who had the longest bayonet, which I guess if you have a 3-inch advantage with your bayonet, that could make a difference. I guess I don't know. I'm not a bayonet guy. And so let's see what else we got here. Oh, the trapdoor. Oh, here's the unit designation. They had these. It's cut into the stock, it's a circle, and they had these brass things that would determine a lot of things. Your unit, where you belong, where you've been, things like that were on there. Where I've been on this gun. I don't know if you can see it or not. Probably not. Well, anyway, there's a U with an arrow in it, and what that U with the arrow signifies is South Africa. So it meant that this gun served in South Africa, which was part of the British colonies at the time. So, and I don't know when. I don't know. All I know is that it was in South Africa. The British were great for putting stamps on stuff, so you could kind of track, where the guns have been and what they did and stuff like that. But that's all that one is South Africa. So we're gonna open up the get my okay. The first thing we got in here is we got a cleaning rod. What this is, it's made out of brass, and you would put your brush or your loop to put a swap through, to do your rifle. You take and you drop it down, and oops, you take and drop it down inside the barrel, and it came out down there. You'd attach it and you'd pull it out, and that's rather than using a rod, that's what they used. A lot of, these guns all have cleaning rods and they have things like this. And the reason is because the gunpowder was really dirty then, and it would foul the gun. So it required that they clean them frequently. Also, inside the trap door is an oil thing. And what this was for is if you scratched your gun, because people use linseed oil on their guns, and people still use linseed oil on their guns, I do. And if you got a scratch or something, you take this and go and dip it in and wipe it on and try to repair the preservation of the gun. And so that goes up inside the tube too. And of course, people always joke about that's where the British kept their cigars, but those would be some pretty small cigars. I know this is running long. Let me show you one more thing here to show you the resilience of these guns and what they, how important they were to the British. I have another here. This is a #1 Mk3. This one was actually made in India in 1942. So they were still making these guns. The British had Australia and they were making guns in Australia and India and in England to try to keep up with the demand for the war. And even in World War II, when Canada was making a different version, and so was the United States. Savage was making a version of a British gun that the Indians, were already making these Mark 1s, so they just had them continue to make the Mark 1s. In fact, the Mark 1s were used up through, even the Israelis used them. all the way up through the 1950s is they were still being used, and it's just about the exact same model. There's a few differences. Number one, you didn't see it, but the little cocking device on the back here is different than the British model. The sight here, instead of, they have these little dots that are on the British one, and they're not on the Indian one. And there's no stacking swivel or place for a stacking swivel on it. But it's the same gun, and all the parts are interchangeable, and with the British guns, and it's shot. I've shot it. It's also a very nice gun. Well, I'm sorry it took so long trying to keep these short, but there was a lot of information, and I'm going to say that we're going to go back to Britain again tomorrow, and we're going to do the number 4 that we've been seeing, the gun that I've been making for my son. And now that it's done, I can put it on here and display it. And all right, thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.